Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're having a wonderful week. Like always, today I am continuing with my Michael Jackson discography journey, and we made it to his final album, his very last album from the year 2001 called Invincible, released 19 years ago. And this will be my very first time listening to the album, and this will be a true first listen video because I don't recall hearing any of these songs before. I'm looking at the track list, and none of the songs look familiar. Now, You Rock My World was released as a single. I feel like I might have heard that song, I'm not sure, but I'll let you guys know after listening to a song if I've heard it before or not. I will also say that I will be listening to the two albums that were released after his death. Michael Jackson did pass away in 2009, and I will be listening to the album Michael, released in 2010, and Escape, released in 2014. I did a poll on my channel asking you guys if I should listen to those two albums, and more than half of you said yes, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm not going to be doing it this month. I'm going to be taking a little bit of a Michael Jackson break, but I will be starting the series up again in January, so look out for those two videos in January. I will also be starting my Michael Jackson music video journey in January as well. So lots of great things still yet to come in my Michael Jackson music journey. Once I'm done watching all his music videos, I will obviously move on to his concerts and his tours, live performances. This Michael Jackson series will keep going for the rest of 2021, I imagine. Now, it does say here that Invincible reportedly cost $30 million to make, making it the most expensive album ever made. There was no concert tour to promote the album. A tour was planned, but canceled due to conflicts between Jackson and Sony Music Entertainment. Following Sony's decision to abruptly end promotion for the album, Jackson made allegations in July of 2002 that Tommy Mottola was a devil and a racist who did not support his African American artists but used them for personal gain. Now, a couple of you did mention this to me in one of my Michael Jackson videos. A couple of you left comments regarding this situation. Now, I don't know too much about this Tommy Mottola person, but it says here that he is widely well known for signing, developing, and nurturing the careers of Celine Dion, Mariah Carey, Gloria Estefan, R&B group Destiny's Child, Jessica Simpson, Anastasia, Shakira, and the Dixie Chicks, now rebranding themselves as the Chicks. Now, this album was critically divided. It was very much mixed when it came to the reviews. There are a lot of people who do say that this is Michael Jackson's worst album, so I'm very curious to listen to it for the first time and form my own opinion on it. Now that I got all that out of the way, let's finally jump into the album. There are 16 tracks, and the album is 1 hour and 17 minutes. So let's get right into it. Track number 1, Unbreakable. Alrighty, that was track number 1, Unbreakable, and I loved the production on this track. Just like all of Michael Jackson's other albums and songs, the production of this song, I feel like, is very on brand for Michael, and it sounds like a Michael Jackson song. I feel like the song, lyrically, is very straightforward. He's saying, I'm wondering why you think that you can get to me with anything. Seems like you know by now when and how I get down. And with all that I've been through, I'm still around. And there's no way you'll ever gonna get to me. He's saying that he's unbreakable and you can't stop me even though you think that if you block me, you've done your thing. And when you bury me underneath all your pain, I'm steady laughing, ha, while surfacing. This reminds me of the question that Diane Sawyer asked Michael Jackson during the interview in 1995 if he ever contemplated suicide. And Michael replied by saying that he has very tough skin. He has rhinoceros skin. And the lyrics in this song just proves it. Michael Jackson truly is unbreakable. He's gone through so much throughout his entire life that by now, the average man probably would have broken down, but not him, not Michael. I will also say that the rapping done in the song was performed by the notorious B.I.G. I won't lie though, the title of the track, Unbreakable, did remind me of Janet Jackson's 2015 album, which is called Unbreakable. So it would seem like Janet and her brother have this in common. They have rhinoceros skin, the both of them, and they are very tough, and they have both faced adversity and hardships throughout their career and scandal, but they managed to get through it and come out on the other side. Is this my favorite lead song from a Michael Jackson album? Probably not. This track just didn't resonate with me as closely as songs from his prior albums like History and Dangerous and Bad. But anyway, let's move on to track number 2, Heartbreaker. Okay, that was track number 2, Heartbreaker, and this sounds like such an early 2000s, late 90s pop song. It was reminding me of NSYNC and Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake. It reminds me of so many of the pop songs that I used to listen to when I was a kid from the popular music acts of the time, like the boy bands and the female pop stars. I will say that the song is really catchy. The chorus really does get stuck in your head. It's an earworm. It's a very repetitive song, thus being extremely catchy and getting stuck in your head, but I think I would maybe listen to this song again. I think the issue I'm having with this song is that I've heard so many songs like this throughout my life, especially during my childhood, from the popular boy bands and pop stars of the time. So to me, and I don't want to say this, I might offend some people when I say this, but this song sounds like so many of the other pop songs I've heard from the early 2000s to the late 90s. And when it comes to the lyrics, once again, they're pretty straightforward. He's saying, that girl, I can't take her. Should have seen right through her. She's a heartbreaker. That girl, I can't take her. Should have seen it coming. Heartbreaker. I mean, lyrically, this sounds like a very generic sounding pop song. But before you hate me for not being the biggest fan of this song, I am curious to know if this album, Invincible by Michael Jackson from 2001, helped influence the sound of the early to mid 2000s. Deceitful eyes, she's got those come get me thighs. I really like that lyric actually. She only knows how low that she can go. She speaks the lines that can control my mind. Wherever she goes, I know my eyes follow. Michael Jackson has sung about things like this before in a lot of his other songs where there is this female and she perhaps is a little bit dangerous and she's sexy and he's being entranced by her. I will also say that 2001 was a year that his sister Janet Jackson released her 7th studio album called All For You, which I actually really enjoyed that album. It's definitely her most pop sounding album in my opinion, with bits of R&B in it. So this song, Heartbreaker, is reminding me of Janet's All For You album. But anyway, let's move on to track number 3, Invincible. Okay, that was track number 3, Invincible, and I don't want to say this. I don't want to say this. I don't want to say this. I'm so sorry. I know a lot of you watching this video right now love this album. I don't know how I feel about the album. Actually, I do know how I feel about the album so far. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I'm not really enjoying myself. The thing is for me is I'm trying to project myself into the year 2001. I'm trying to pretend like there was never a 2002, 2003, a 2010, 2015. I'm just trying to project myself into 2001 and what this album was sounded like for me. Because it's very hard for me to not compare this album to other songs and albums I've listened to from my childhood, from other pop stars of the time. So I'm trying to just get rid of that. I'm just trying to project myself into 2001. I find the lyrics on this album nowhere near as interesting as the lyrics from his prior albums. All of his other albums, actually. And reading the lyrics, I don't know, to me, they don't really resonate with me, and I don't find them as interesting. I am liking the production on the album. To me, that's probably the highlight, like any other Michael Jackson album, but I feel like, in my opinion, so far, I mean, we're only 3 tracks in, but I feel like this album does pale in comparison to all his other albums. I Can't Do Anything, She's Invincible, come on now. Even When I Beg and Plead, She's Invincible. If I could tear down these walls that keep you and I apart, I know I could claim your heart and our perfect love will start. But girl, you just won't approve of the things that I do. So it looks like he's in love with this girl and he can see himself in a relationship with this woman, but he's saying that she doesn't approve of some of the things he does, and there might be another guy who will treat her well, and he's buying her diamonds and pearls. Not Michael, this other guy. And this other guy, he's taking you all across the world. So why ain't you feeling me? Why don't you like me? I can't do anything. Even when I beg and plead, she's invincible. Girl won't give in to me. So as hard as he tries, this girl just won't give in to Michael and who he is. What I do like about this album so far are the featured rap artists on the songs. Now, believe it or not, you might not believe me when I say this, but I do like rap music. It's not my go-to genre, but it's still a genre I gravitate towards. Although I probably wouldn't listen to this song again. I think this might be one of those albums where I have to listen to it again to really appreciate it. I could obviously just sit here and lie to you guys and say, I love this album so much, it's just as good as his other albums, I'm having so much fun, but I'm not. But we still have 13 more songs to listen to, so who knows, maybe my opinion will change. So let's move on to track number 4, Break of Dawn. Okay, that was track number 4, A Break of Dawn. And you know what? I actually liked this song. Out of the 4 tracks I've listened to already, Break of Dawn is probably my favorite. I love how organic the song sounds. You can hear birds chirping. I especially really like the first few seconds of the song, the first minute or so. It's very magical. People talk, people say, what we have is just a game. Oh, I'll never let you go. Come here, girl. Just got to make sweet love till the break of dawn. This is a very romantic, sensual song. This song was kind of reminding me of Janet Jackson because Janet Jackson does have a lot of sensual and sexy, erotic songs. So I don't know, this was reminding me of a song Janet Jackson might have released. I mean, this song just oozes sex. I was picturing myself in a cabin in the woods somewhere during the springtime. All the flowers were blooming and the birds were chirping, and I was with someone, and we were up the entire night, and it was just before dawn when you can hear the birds chirping before the sun even rises, and you're just making love with this person, and it's just a very, I guess what I'm trying to say is this song's a mood. But anyway, let's move on to track number 5, Heaven Can Wait. Okay, that was track number 5, Heaven Can Wait, and this was another song I enjoyed listening to. I didn't like it as much as Break of Dawn, but I still really enjoyed everything about it. I really liked his voice on this track in particular, and this is another romantic song in my opinion, and this is another song that sounds like Janet Jackson could have put it out. I will also say that this album is much lighter than his prior albums, in particular History and Blood on the Dance Floor and Dangerous. It's not as dark, it's not as aggressive. Tracks 2 through 5, there is a main message of this woman who appears to be a heartbreaker, and she's invincible when it comes to Michael trying to court her, and he wants to be with her, but she doesn't want to be with him. Also Break of Dawn, he's making love to this woman, and now Heaven Can Wait. So I don't know if he's singing about the same person. Tell the angels, I don't want to leave my baby alone. I don't want nobody else to hold you. That's the chance I'll take. Maybe I'll stay. Heaven can wait. If the angels took me from this earth, I would tell them, bring me back to her. I really like the lyrics of this song. He could also be singing about one of his children in this song as well. But I will say that this song is also a little heartbreaking because this is a bit of a prelude to his death in 2009. If the angels took me from this earth, I would tell them, bring me back to her. I wonder if when the angels did finally take Michael Jackson off of this earth, if he pleaded with them to bring him back. Please put me back on earth. Please make me alive again. I don't want to die. So I will say, even though I wasn't a fan of the first 3 tracks on this album, I really enjoyed track number 4 and track number 5, Break of Dawn and Heaven Can Wait. Definitely very romantic and even a little bit emotionally stirring as well. I am curious to know, however, if Michael was dating anyone at this time. Now, he did divorce from Lisa Marie Presley in 1996, and then he married Debbie Rowe in 1996, but then he divorced her in 1999. I don't know anything about this Debbie Rowe woman. I've heard of her before, I've seen pictures of her, but I know almost nothing about her. It says here that Madonna and Michael Jackson dated for exactly 1 week in 1991. What? I don't know if that's true. It's just something I read on the internet. Could be a lie, who knows. It does say here in 2001, Michael asked Elizabeth Taylor to be his date for his 30th anniversary concert at Madison Square Garden, but Elizabeth declined. So I'm not really seeing anything when it comes to people he might have dated at this time. So if you guys know, leave a comment. In 2001, Michael Jackson said that Madonna is not a nice person. What? He also revealed how he and Madonna had bickered about where they would socialize. So it would seem like Michael Jackson wasn't the biggest fan of Madonna. Madonna was not held in high esteem. I am well aware that there are a lot of people who don't like Madonna, and this is just from what I've heard and from what I've read. A lot of people had unpleasant experiences with Madonna, and some people do think that she's a little bit of a biatch. But anyway, let's move on to track number 6, You Rock My World.
She knows she fine too. She is banging. Oh, she's off the hook. Watch me get that girl. I bet you never land. You can. I can get it. My life will never be the same. Feels like
Okay, that was track number 6, You Rock My World, which was the lead single from the album, and I enjoyed this track. There were parts of the production that were reminding me of disco and perhaps even his Off the Wall album. Even though I did enjoy the song, to me this doesn't sound like a lead single, so I don't know how I feel about this track being released as the lead single. It does say here that You Rock My World was commercially successful, and it generally charted within the top 10 positions on the music charts worldwide. It was also one of Michael's last hit singles in the United States in the final years of his career. Lyrically, this is another straightforward song. I also enjoyed the intro in this song. I thought it was a lot of fun. I also like how Dark Child is a part of the track as well. I know Dark Child best from listening to Britney Spears, but he has collaborated with so many other pop stars, including the Spice Girls and Brandy. I mean, there's a whole list here. Janet Jackson, Whitney Houston, Destiny's Child, and Monica, Beyonce, Jennifer Lopez, Toni Braxton, TLC, Ludacris, Ciara, Lady Gaga, Justin Bieber. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Would this be a Michael Jackson song I would listen to again? You know what? I actually probably would. I am so excited now we are finally making progress on this album. For me, anyway, I wasn't a fan of the first 3 tracks, but these last 3 tracks, 4 through 6, I've enjoyed. So now let's move on to track number 7, Butterflies. Okay, that was track number 7, Butterflies, and this was another song I enjoyed listening to. I will say, this is a little bit of a romantic album, which I wasn't expecting. Break of Dawn, and now Butterflies, even maybe Heaven Can Wait. I like it. It's definitely a lot more light than his other albums. Blood on the Dance Floor, and History, and Dangerous. Even though I am enjoying the lyrics to a lot of these songs, I don't feel like the lyrics on this album are as good or as engaging as the lyrics from his prior albums. Obviously, the lyrics in his prior albums were more aggressive and hateful and angry, and he had a lot to say. He was going through a lot. He was clapping back at the tabloids and the public and people, during the whole allegations. I'm getting the impression that perhaps at this time in his life, he was just over the controversies and the tabloids, and he just wanted to try something different. He wanted to create an album that was more light and enjoyable to listen to. He says here, "You give me butterflies inside. I just want to touch and kiss. And I wish that I could be with you tonight. You give me butterflies inside." I mean, very romantic, and it's a little adolescent in the sense that, I don't know, it's just taking me back to the teenage years where you're just falling in love and Feel like a giddy little schoolboy, and you're attracted to someone, and you have a crush on someone, and you're just getting the butterflies in your stomach. There's also something very pure and innocent about this album as well. It's almost like a cleansing. I don't know if any of you experienced this, but I feel like this album is a cleansing of all the aggression and hatred and darkness of the other albums that I feel like I'm floating. I feel happy when I listen to this album. And it's also not as emotionally draining as his prior albums, but I still don't feel like the songs on this album are his best by any means. I feel like this album as a whole is decent and the songs are decent. So now let's move on to track number 8, Speechless.
Love is magical. That's how I feel. But there are worlds and worlds of ways to explain. Speechless, speechless. That's how you make me feel. Nothing's real, but all is possible. If God is on my side. There's no mountain high I cannot climb. Speechless, speechless. That's how you make me feel. Nothing is for real. Speechless, speechless. Your love is magical. Words like I love you.
Oh, that's. Oh my god, that last few seconds of the song where he says, "But in your presence, I am lost for words. Words like, I love you." And just the way he said it. Oh my god. Speechless, speechless. That's how you make me feel. Though I'm with you, I am far away. You're always on my mind. And nothing is for real. Speechless. Your love is magical. That's how I feel. But in your presence, I am lost for words. Words like, I love you. I mean, the song is pretty self-explanatory, and I really enjoyed the production. I liked the choir as well, and this is a very sentimental song. This album in general, I feel like, is a little sentimental, which I don't have an issue with. Michael Jackson does have quite a few sentimental, slower songs, and this is one of them, and I liked it. So now we're gonna move on to track number 9, 2000 Watts.
You may now apply. You may now apply your 3D glasses. 3D.
Your 3D glasses? Oh my god. Oh my god. His voice sounds very deep in this song. Alrighty, that was track number 9, 2000 Watts, and this song was me. You may now apply your 3D glasses. Welcome to the future. 3D glasses are finally here, the year 2001. I remember those dorky 3D glasses that at the time 3D movies had with the stupid blue and red lenses, that flimsy plastic material. Nothing like the 3D glasses we have today. These ones were very flimsy and just made of cardboard. I thought this track was a lot of fun and I was jamming to it. I will also say that Michael Jackson's voice on this track is much deeper than it usually is. When it comes to the lyrics, to be honest, I really don't care. I just really enjoyed listening to the song. This does sound like a song that could have been part of a movie. like during the end credits of, I don't know, maybe a Bad Boys movie or some sort of action-packed movie of the early 2000s, like, I don't know, Fast and the Furious or something. But anyway, let's move on to track number 10, You Are My Life. Okay, that was track number 10, You Are My Life, and I really do apologize for what I'm about to say, but this song lyrically is painfully cliche. It's like a 13-year-old wrote this song for their music class. You are the sun, you make me shine, or more like the stars that twinkle at night. You are the moon that glows in my heart. You are my daytime, my nighttime, my world. I like the intention behind the song. It's very sentimental, but come on, the lyrics are so painfully generic. It does sound like a boy band song, like something the Backstreet Boys would put out, but even the Backstreet Boys probably don't have lyrics as cheesy and corny as this. And I know I might be ripping into the song more than I need to, but this is Michael Jackson. He's been doing this, he's been writing songs for decades now, and he's a co-writer on the song, but this is just very disappointing. It's also very lazy lyrically. It's just a very lazy song. I like the melody. It's a very beautiful song, but considering this is Michael Jackson, this to me isn't acceptable. Some people have commented that the song is for his children. He's singing about his kids. He could also be singing about God as well. I do feel a little bad now after saying what I did about the song, but regardless, I like the intention behind it. It's a very sentimental song, but to me, the lyrics are just very painfully cliche. If the song is about his children, I feel like his children are so special to him that the lyrics deserve to be a bit more personal and creative. But the lyrics in this song are very broad, and I just feel like they're very generalized. It does say here on the Michael Jackson fandom site that Jackson dedicated the song to his then two children, Prince and Paris. It was released at a time in his life when he had no one to trust except his children. He does say in the song, once all alone, I was lost in the world of strangers. No one to trust, on my own, I was lonely. You suddenly appeared. It was cloudy before, but now it's clear. So I do feel bad for what I said about the lyrics and how I feel about it, but I'm gonna stand by what I said. But anyway, let's move on to track number 11, Privacy.
That ain't no Michael Jackson. That ain't.
Okay, that was track number 11, Privacy, and this is a straightforward song lyrically. He's singing about his privacy and the paparazzi. I feel like it wouldn't be a Michael Jackson album without him acknowledging his privacy and the tabloids and the gossip and the paparazzi. Get away from me, I need my privacy. So paparazzi, stalking, walking, talking, yeah, get away from me. I also like how throughout the song you can hear camera shutters as though he is being stalked by the paparazzi, these groups of paparazzi, these people taking his picture. I did enjoy listening to the track, I just don't know if this would be a Michael Jackson song I would listen to again. I also like how it's more rock influenced. You can hear the electric guitar, which I love. Whenever Michael Jackson does a rock influenced song with slash or electric guitar or whatever, I always enjoy it. Michael Jackson just can't catch a break when it comes to the paparazzi hounding him and the stories and the gossip. He never seems to be able to get away from it. And someone did comment that the lyric, "But on that cold winter night, my pride was snatched away," might be a reference to 1993. So now let's move on to track number 12, Don't Walk Away.
Don't walk away when there's nothing left to do but walk away. All my dreams were broken. I don't know where we're going. Don't walk away.
Okay, that was track number 12, Don't Walk Away, and I really enjoyed this track, though it is a little heartbreaking. I won't forget you, girl, even though I had to let you go. There's nothing left to do, don't walk away. He is pleading to this person, tell me what I have to do so you'll stay. Should I get down on my knees and pray? How can I stop losing you? How can I begin to stay? This does take me back to track number 3, Invincible, how he wants this woman, but she doesn't want to have anything to do with him. This does seem to be a big theme through the album, his relationship with this person. I don't know if it's based on someone in particular, or maybe many different people, but in particular, the first half of this album, he does sing about his love and his want for this person. I also really enjoyed the passion in his voice and the pain when he was singing the song. So now let's move on to track number 13, Cry.
Somebody shakes when the wind blows. Stories buried and untold. You can change the world. I can't do it by myself. Save time tonight. Cry with me. You can change the world. You can touch the sky. Change the world.
Alrighty, that was track number 13, Cry, and I really enjoyed this track. It's a classic sounding Michael Jackson song. It's a very meaningful and it's a very humanitarian song as well. It reminds me of Heal the World and his other songs that deals with this subject matter. Changing the world. You can change the world. I can't do it by myself. You can touch the sky. It's gonna take somebody's help. You're the chosen one. I'm gonna need some kind of sign. If we all cry at the same time tonight, you can change the world. You can change the world, but I can't do it by myself. However, this song was written by R. Kelly, which kind of sucks. It does take a little bit of the joy out of the song, in my opinion. It does say here that the themes of Cry are world issues such as isolation, war, and brotherhood. The song was conceived just days after 9/11. It also suggests if everyone pulls together as one, then they can make a change to the world. I also forgot that this album was released after 9/11. This album was released on October 30th, 2001, so just a handful of weeks after 9/11. And also, don't get me started on the epic gospel choir towards the end of the song. Ugh. Such a joy to listen to. So now let's move on to track number 14, The Lost Children.
We pray for our fathers, pray for our mothers. This one's for all the lost children. Pray for all the lost children. This one's for all the lost children. It's getting dark. I think we better go home now.
Okay, that was track number 14, The Lost Children, and this song is pretty straightforward. This song is for the children, all of the lost children. This is for all the lost children. This one's for all the lost children, wishing them well, home with their fathers, snug, close, and warm, loving their mothers. I see the door simply wide open, but no one can find thee. So let's pray for all the lost children. I do applaud Michael Jackson for still singing about his love for the children, considering everything he's gone through during the 90s. I imagine some people might still raise an eyebrow whenever he talks about or sings about children, but this is still a really beautiful song, and you can still tell that he is very passionate about children all over the world. And again, this song is humanitarian, and he just wants all the children in the world to feel loved and accepted. What's also interesting is during the production of the song, you can hear children played, and towards the end, it sounds like there are two children wandering through the woods, and one of them says, "It's getting dark out, we should head home," or something like that. And now that I think about it, that part of the song, the very end, is very interesting. You have these two children, I imagine it's two or maybe three children, or maybe just the one child, wandering through the woods, and it's getting dark, and he says, "We should probably go home," but there are children who can't do that. They are lost in the world. They don't have a home to go to. This probably wouldn't be a Michael Jackson song I would listen to again. I like the intention behind it. I like the lyrics and the meaning. But in terms of replay value, I probably wouldn't listen to it again. If I was to listen to Invincible again, which I will, I just don't know if this would be a song I would go back to. But we still have two more tracks left, so let's get into track number 15, Whatever Happens.
He gives another smile. Got to understand. She said, whatever happens. Try to explain that makes me happy. Don't you let go of my hand. Don't let go of my hand. See, not living there. Whatever happens. Thank you, man. Thank you, Carlos.
Oh. Okay, that was track number 15, Whatever Happens, and call me crazy, but this is probably one of my favorite tracks from the album. I don't know what it is. I think obviously it's the production, the electric guitar, and his vocals. They are quite aggressive on this song, and I liked the story lyrically as well. I also enjoyed the whistling in the song, in particular at the beginning. Whenever I hear whistling in a song, I always think of a Quentin Tarantino movie. It was the whistling, but it was also the guitar strumming also. She's consumed with everything that's been going on. She says, "Whatever happens, don't let go of my hand. Everything will be alright," he assures her. So this song is about a man and a woman, perhaps a married couple or just two people in a relationship. And they are reassuring one another that everything will be okay. Whatever happens, everything will be okay as long as we don't let go of each other. He's working day and night, thinks he'll make her happy, forgetting all the dreams that he had. He doesn't realize it's not the end of the world. It doesn't have to be that bad. He tries to explain, "It's you that makes me happy." So it looks like this gentleman is working himself to the bone, working day and night, thinking that he'll make this woman happy by providing her with the money that he makes from working. But because he's working so much at this job, he's forgetting all about his dreams and his aspirations. And he doesn't realize it's not the end of the world. So it's not the end of the world if he forgets about his dreams and aspirations. As long as he has this woman in his life, it's what makes him happy. It's you that makes me happy. I think lyrically, this is one of the most powerful songs on the album, and I loved the story in combination with the production of the song and his vocals. That is why this is one of my favorite tracks from the album. So we have come to the end of the album, unfortunately. Track number 16, Threatened.
Tonight's story is somewhat unique and calls for a different kind of introduction.
Alrighty, that was track number 16, Threatened, and this was taking me back to his Thriller era. In particular, the voiceover in the song from the gentleman, I don't know who it is, but it was reminding me of Vincent Price. It was like the voiceover, or the voiceover of a synopsis for a horror movie, and he was detailing what was happening in this horror movie, this monster. Obviously, the song is very symbolic. I don't really need to go into that. Michael Jackson is the monster. Watching you when you sleep, when you're in bed, I'm underneath. You're trapped in halls, and my face is the walls. I'm the floor when you fall, and when you scream, it's 'cause of me. I'm the living dead. You should be watching me. You should feel threatened while you sleep, while you creep. You should be threatened. I think Threatened would have been a great title for the album. I do like the title of the album, Invincible. I like the symbolism behind that. He is invincible. He has rhinoceros skin. He can take anything that's thrown at him. But I also think Threatened would have been an interesting title. Also Unbreakable. I imagine at this time in his life, in 2001, people still saw Michael as a monster. He has used that metaphor before of him being portrayed as a monster in some of his other songs. When I listened to this song again, I probably would actually. I just found it very interesting to read. I also liked the interesting voiceover work from that gentleman. So that is all 16 tracks of Invincible by Michael Jackson. And this was a very interesting journey that I went on listening to this album. I didn't like the album when I first started listening to it, the first few songs. I was getting a little concerned. But then it gradually started picking up for me, starting with track number 4, Break of Dawn. And then there on out, I enjoyed the album a lot more. Just like any other Michael Jackson album, I enjoyed the production. But I feel like the production on this album definitely pales in comparison to all his other ones. I definitely wouldn't go back to this album for the production. It didn't really resonate with me. Also, the lyrics. I don't think the lyrics on this album are as strong as his other albums. This album is also quite sentimental. There are a lot of emotional, passionate songs on here. In particular, the second half of the album. The first half is more romantic, I guess. And then the second half is more serious. It's a little heartbreaking. And of course, this wouldn't be a Michael Jackson album if he did touch on being a humanitarian and his love for the children and making the world a better place. There are also some great upbeat songs on this album as well. There were songs on this album that were reminding me of the Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, Britney Spears, the boy bands and the pop stars of the time in the early 2000s. So I don't know if he was influenced by those acts and those stars, or if they were influenced by this album. He also incorporates a lot of other genres into this album. R&B, of course, and there's rapping, and there's also some rock and roll, some electric guitar. He also threw in a bit of disco into a couple of the tracks. So as to what I thought about the album as a whole, I'm not sure, actually. I have to listen to it again. When I sat down to listen to this album, I didn't really know what to expect. I thought he would touch on the controversies of his life a bit more. I thought he would touch on the allegations a bit more, but he really didn't. He did a little bit on some of the tracks, but A lot of the tracks were just very romantic and loving and caring. He did talk about this relationship with this person. He was singing about making love and how heaven can wait, and this woman he loves doesn't want to be with him. But he also sings about getting butterflies in his stomach when he's around this person. I feel like there are a lot of emotions on this album when it comes to Michael's voice. It's definitely not as aggressive and dark as his prior albums like Blood on the Dance Floor and History, even maybe Dangerous. This is definitely lighter. It's a lighter listen. I don't feel exhausted after listening to the album, even though there are 16 tracks. After I finished listening to Dangerous and History, I was actually pretty exhausted just because it was a lot to unpack. This album is more straightforward and to the point. There aren't as many lyrics to decipher. I feel like the lyrics on this album aren't as cryptic as some of his others. As a whole, though, this isn't one of my favorite Michael Jackson albums. Starting with Off the Wall, this album, Invincible, is probably my least favorite. Which it's sad for me to say because a lot of you love this album, a lot of you choose this as your favorite Michael Jackson album, but I just personally for myself gravitate towards some of his other albums like Dangerous and History and Bad. Also Off the Wall, I keep forgetting about Off the Wall. I mean, I will be doing a video where I rank all his albums, so it's going to be interesting to see where I rank all of the albums. But at the end of the day, I still feel like he's stayed true to himself, and this still sounds like a Michael Jackson album. I, like so many people, are probably very disappointed because this is his last album, and I keep thinking there's going to be more Michael Jackson albums to listen to after this one, but no. This is it. This is the last one. This doesn't sound like an album that would have been his last album. This doesn't sound like the last Michael Jackson album. It just sounds like there was a lot more that he wanted to do after this album. There was a lot more he could have done, and it just pains me to know that he probably could have released so many other great albums. I mean, what would a Michael Jackson album from the 2010s sound like? Or what would a Michael Jackson album from the 2020 decade sound like? I don't know, maybe he wasn't as passionate about music anymore when he died in 2009, so maybe he wasn't going to release another album. Or maybe he was planning on doing so much more with his music. Who knows, maybe his albums would have gotten worse. Maybe if he released albums after this one, they wouldn't have been as good. Maybe they would have been horrible, who knows? Or maybe they would have been great. Maybe he would have put out some of his best albums ever. So what do you guys think of the album, and what songs from the album are your favorites? Maybe you don't like this album at all. Maybe you hate it. Tell me why. Maybe you absolutely adore this album. Tell me why. Now, I am going to leave you with one final question, which is what I always do when I end a discography journey. I'm going to ask you, what does Michael Jackson mean to you, and what do you think of Michael Jackson? When did you listen to him for the first time, and what does his music mean to you? Maybe you have a special connection with one of his songs, with one of his albums during a special time of your life. Or maybe you were going through something very harsh, or you were going through a difficult situation, and there is a particular song from him that closely resonates with you. And also, what was it like to learn that Michael Jackson died? What was it like? Where were you, and how devastated were you? Maybe you were just in shock and you didn't believe it. I remember the year 2009 when I was 19 years old. I remember this news blowing up, and it didn't affect me as much because I was only 19 and I didn't listen to Michael Jackson at the time. So the news and his death didn't affect me as much as a lot of other people. But it was still very shocking because I knew how prominent Michael Jackson was. And I knew how monumental his music was. And I knew how big of a superstar he was. So the news did shock me, and my eyes were glued to the news stations like CNN, and it was just devastating to hear. I just want to say that I absolutely loved this Michael Jackson discography journey. I didn't think I would enjoy it as much as I did, But out of all the discography journeys that I finished on this channel, this one has been my favorite. Not only did I learn so much about music, but I also learned so much about Michael Jackson himself. Things that I didn't even know about until I met you guys and you started sharing with me your insights and your comments, and just from reading his lyrics, reading the lyrics to his songs, I felt like I was having a conversation with him. Michael Jackson had such a hard life and such a tormented life filled with heartache and scandal and misery, and a lot happened behind the scenes. Things that I will never know, things that you probably will never know. And he just had a really hard life. But at the end of the day, regardless of what Michael Jackson did or what he didn't do, he will always go down as one of the greatest musical acts of all time. His music will stand the test of time beyond any other artist. Michael Jackson's whole discography is what music is meant to be. It's what music is meant to sound like. I've heard sounds on his albums that I've never heard before on other albums. I've read lyrics on his albums that I've never read from any other song before. I've heard vocals from his songs I've never heard from any other song before. There will never be another person in the history of our planet that will sound like Michael Jackson, that will dance like Michael Jackson, who will have the same heart and soul and carry nature as Michael Jackson. And there are times where I feel like his heart and his soul was too good for this planet. This world that we live in is so corrupt and so vile and so nasty and so horrible that there are people who are just too good and too carried to be a part of it. Michael Jackson's purpose was to bless us with his music and his sound and his voice, and that is exactly what he did. This was his gift to us and to the rest of the world. I feel like I could keep going on and on and on and on about Michael Jackson, but I think I'm gonna leave it there. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you next time. Take care.